How can you get residency in one of the most sought after countries in the entire world, Malaysia? Today we're going to discuss several long-term visa options that allow you to establish yourself in Malaysia. First up, I wanted to talk about the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program, which is a program that sometimes confuses people. People think that all Malaysia My Second Home programs are under the Peninsular Malaysia My Second Home umbrella. But this is not true. Basically, there are two distinct parts of Malaysia. East Malaysia, that's where we have the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program, with Kuching being the capital of Sarawak. And we also have West Malaysia, with Kuala Lumpur being the capital. Most expats never make it to East Malaysia, where we have very different, very unique, very authentic indigenous places. However, more and more people are now looking to get into Sarawak because of the exposure that the region has gotten on YouTube and other places. How can you obtain the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home pass? I'm going to break this down for all the different age groups. First, we have applicants that are at retirement age or about to reach retirement age. So you must be 50 years or older. You must show a minimum income of 7,000 ringgit a month. That's if you're a single applicant. Now, the good thing is that the Malaysian ringgit has been tanking against the major currencies, the US dollar, the euro, the pound. So all of this is good because your purchasing power is well preserved in Malaysia. In the event that you would apply with a significant other, you're looking at a minimum monthly income of just 10,000 ringgit. Just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, you have to have an income of roughly 1,600 US dollars a month. That's the minimum, can be any less than 1,600, ideally should be more. And given the currency exchange rate, it's very possible that you're looking at more US dollar income per month in the future, because we just don't know what's going to happen to the ringgit. $1,600 a month in income through a pension, retirement, or a different type of passive income is very doable. A lot of people have this kind of income. Plus, if you want to apply as a couple, you're looking at an income of just 2,200 US dollars a month. I think the Sarawakian government is really lenient and it's a great deal. It really applies to a lot of people, unlike the Peninsular program that underwent drastic changes, asking for much higher income requirements in the past. I know there have been changes there too, we're going to get to this in a moment. But the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program has really been one of the most consistent visa programs in Southeast Asia. You can still qualify for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program by proving savings of at least 50,000 ringgit, that's if you're a single applicant, or 100,000 ringgit if you are applying jointly, if you're applying with your significant other. Given the current US dollar to Malaysian ringgit exchange rate, 50,000 Malaysian ringgit is a bit less than $12,000. That's what you would need to have in savings. You're looking at $12,000 if you are a single applicant. And as said, if you're applying as a married couple, you're looking at 100,000 ringgit, which comes down to $23,000 in savings. Now, these amounts are actually very manageable for the average person. You don't have to be upper middle class to have that kind of savings. A lot of people have $10,000 to $20,000 in savings, and it would indeed help you to obtain the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program. This is kind of comparable to the SRRV program in the Philippines, where you can get residency in the Philippines by depositing $20,000 into a local bank account. Now, you also have to meet the following requirements to qualify for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program. You must deposit at least 150,000 Malaysian ringgit into a fixed deposit account in Sarawak. That's if you're a single applicant. If you apply jointly, you must deposit at least 300,000 Malaysian ringgit. The deposit must be maintained for as long as you keep the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home visa. The deposit must be maintained in your fixed deposit account unless you decide to withdraw your Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home application. Let's say you cancel, you make the decision you don't want to live in Malaysia anymore, in Sarawak anymore for whatever reason, then the deposit would be available to you again. You are required to spend at least 30 days per year in Malaysia. Now, the minimum stay requirement for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program is lower than for the Peninsular Malaysia My My Second Home program. As always, you must have a clean criminal record certificate. More and more countries are putting a lot of attention on your criminal record, especially in Southeast Asia. The Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program also requires you to do a medical checkup prior to submitting your application in Malaysia. Medical insurance is also a requirement. Now let's have a look at the next age bracket. If you are between 40 to 49 years of age, you may still qualify for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program under the following condition: that you can invest at least 600,000 ringgit into Sarawakan real estate. I want to highlight that you must invest in residential real estate. It can't be commercial, it must be residential, and there are certain programs available that you may qualify for. And, there are specific buildings and units available that are geared towards this. Now, if you are between 40 to 49 years of age, you must also meet the other requirements that I mentioned for applicants that are above 50 years. But like I said, in addition, you would have to purchase real estate in Malaysia. If you are at the good working age, let's say you are between 30 and 39 years old, then you may also qualify for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program, assuming that you can invest 600,000 ringgit into Sarawakan real estate. And you also must meet many of the requirements that applicants above 50 must meet. The Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program does come with some contingencies. As I've pointed out, you can't really withdraw your fixed deposit unless you decide to cancel your Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home pass. In the event that you do it, you may be able to withdraw your money. You cancel your fixed deposit, you get your money back, but you cannot live in Malaysia on the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home pass anymore. And if you should want to live in Malaysia again, you would have to undergo the same application process and meet any additional requirements that are necessary at the time of application. It is also important to note that under the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program, you will not be permitted to work for a Malaysian company. You cannot work in Malaysia. Alright, let's say you have no interest in living in Sarawak. You don't want to apply for the Sarawak Malaysia My Second Home program. You are hooked by the idea of living in the Peninsula. Great, you want to consider one of the following options. Malaysia recently launched a new pass under the Malaysia My Second Home program, allowing people with a lesser net worth to apply for the MM2H. It is called the SEZ pass, the Special Economic Zone pass. To qualify for this specific Malaysia My Second Home pass, you have to purchase real estate in the qualifying economic zone. Again, there are different age brackets here. If you are between 21 years and 49 years of age, you must deposit at least $65,000 into a Malaysian fixed deposit account. If you are 50 or older, you must deposit $32,000 into a Malaysian fixed deposit account. To qualify for the SEZ pass, you must purchase property from a property developer, not a real estate agent. This is very important and it is a requirement for this special pass. This is a 10-year renewable visa. Once the 10 years are up, you may be able to renew this visa for an additional 5 years. You cannot work in Malaysia under the SEZ pass. Employment in Malaysia is strictly prohibited, so if you have any intention of working for a Malaysian company, then this is definitely not the right visa for you. The Silver Pass could be another option. It requires a much larger deposit into a fixed deposit account in Malaysia. We're talking $150,000 this time. As we've talked about during the SEZ pass, that requires a deposit of just $65,000 into a local fixed deposit account in Malaysia. Now you're looking at $150,000 deposited into a Malaysian bank. However, the Silver Pass gives you more freedom, and now you can invest 600,000 Malaysian ringgit into Malaysian real estate in the entire peninsula. So you're not restricted to purchase from a developer. You can work with real estate agents. Sure, you can also work with developers, but now you are not geographically restricted, and you're not restricted, in terms of having to purchase from very specific developers. No. Now you have more freedom, but the stakes have gone up. Something important to note is that some of the fixed deposit may be withdrawn for expenses such as medical expenses or travel expenses. So you may be able to withdraw some of the money that you have sitting in your fixed deposit account, assuming that it falls under one of the eligible categories. The Silver Pass is renewable. It is valid for an initial 5 years, and it is renewable for an additional 5 years. All right, let's move up. Let's talk about the Gold Pass. To get the Gold Pass, you must deposit at least $500,000 into a Malaysian bank account. I still want to discuss this option, even though the majority of you guys watching this video have no interest in having such a large amount of money locked up in a Malaysian bank account. Because there are some serious considerations here, such as, will I actually be able to get out ahead in terms of beating inflation when you have your money locked up? Perhaps you will get paid interest. However, will the interest that you're being paid suffice, and will it be enough to make up against inflation? It's a very important question. Even if the interest rates are good, if they're high, even if they're in the high single digits, the question is, what happens if the Malaysian ringgit tanks even more? This is a very important consideration and a decision that you have to make for yourself. So you're looking at a fixed deposit of at least $500,000. And again, you are required to purchase real estate. This time the amount must be at least 1 million ringgit. Can't be any less than that. So you see that the requirements are going up and up and up. However, the pass validity improves, and this is why a bigger investment is required. In terms of fixed deposit withdrawal, the same conditions apply. I also wanted to stress a very important point here. This pass, the Gold Pass, just like the Silver Pass, it is a social visit pass. It is not a permanent residence permit. In this case now, the Gold Pass is valid for 15 years and it can be renewed for additional years. Last but not least, we have the Platinum Pass. This is the top tier pass that the Peninsular Malaysia My Second Home program offers at this moment in time. As you can probably guess, the stakes have gone up again. To qualify for the Platinum Pass, you now have to deposit at least $1 million into a Malaysian fixed deposit account. Now, the withdrawal requirements are the same. Now, in terms of real estate commitment, this time you're looking at a minimum investment of 2 million ringgit, which is north of $450,000. This is what is required for the Platinum Pass. As I've said, the stakes have gone up again. And this pass also comes with a government fee of 200,000 ringgit. The Platinum Pass gives you 20 years in Malaysia, and it can also be renewed for an additional 5 years. Under the Platinum Pass, you will be allowed to work in Malaysia. Now that we talked about the two distinct Malaysia My Second Home programs, the Peninsular program and the Sarawak program, let's talk about how you may qualify for an employment pass in Malaysia. Maybe you don't want to put down all this money, maybe you just don't meet the requirements, whatever it may be, you're interested in working in Malaysia. You want to become an employee of a Malaysian company. What do you need to know? What do you need to do? The employment pass is also a social visit pass. It is not a permanent residence permit by any means. A permanent residency may result from any of the visas that we discuss in this video. I can't make any guarantees that this is the case, but it is possible. Like, I have spoken to people who were able to obtain permanent residency by obtaining a legitimate employment pass. Your dependents may also qualify for a social visit pass and a dependent pass, of course, for Malaysia. It is important to note that the employment pass will be issued for a maximum period of 60 months or 5 years. Before you can qualify for the employment pass, the Expatriate Committee in Malaysia has to approve you for being of special talent. If this approval has been granted, you may qualify for the Malaysia Employment Pass. Can all companies sponsor foreign talent to come into Malaysia and obtain the employment pass? The answer is no. Only eligible companies may be able to help you get into Malaysia, work for their company, and of course obtain the employment pass. It is important that you work with an eligible company. Here's an important consideration for your work rights. If you get approved for the employment pass, you're only allowed to work for the approved company. You can't just rotate between companies. You cannot take on additional work from a different Malaysian company under the employment pass. If you want to go work for another company, you actually have to apply for a new employment pass. Or perhaps you can get a special exemption. Let's talk about the dependents you are allowed to bring with you into Malaysia. First of all, your underage children, your legally adopted children, and of course your significant other if you're married to a spouse legally, and your parents as well. The last long-term visa I wanted to discuss with you is the spousal visa, a very popular option for foreign citizens to live in Malaysia for the long term. There are many requirements that you must fulfill before this special visa will be issued to you. First of all, you must be legally married to a Malaysian citizen. Of course, the Malaysian authorities will ask for your original legal marriage certificate. It is important that your marriage has been legally and fully accepted by the country of Malaysia. The Malaysian government will also want to know what you do for a living. So it is very possible that you have to supply your work contract, your position, your salary slips. The government wants to know as much as possible about your financial situation to ensure that you can support yourself financially while you live with your spouse in Malaysia. As always, you're looking at a social visit pass. This time the social visit pass would be valid for 5 years. With that being said, permanent residency will not be granted from the get-go. What is your take on the discussed Malaysia visas? Do you think relocating to Malaysia is worth it? What are your thoughts? If you're interested in relocating abroad, please book a consultation with us. You should see our website displayed right on the screen. There's also a link below the video. Click on that link and book a consultation with us. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We truly appreciate you, and we see you on the next video.